So our second Notes in Consciousness is going to deal with dreams and hypnosis. So we're going to look at a few of our people that we've talked about in perspectives, like Freud and his belief with dreams, and then look at some different perspectives on why we dream and what they mean, and then hypnosis, an altered state of consciousness. Okay, so what we dream can be, what do I say? Divided into two things, either manifest content or latent content. So manifest content had to do with things that happened that day, right? So looking at, there's some different studies done where if something traumatic happened to you, like your brain tends to, it's like the storyline of your dream. You tend to dream about that thing happening. There's an interesting study done where people play this video game, kind of like Tetris, for like 7 hours straight, and then they reported more dreams of like blocks falling on them, all right? So it's like things that happen during the day, and it's like the storyline. Versus latent content is like your hidden meanings, your hidden like wants and dreams, like you're looking at like meaning behind dreams. And there's a couple interesting things that have been done with this, like, oh, if you dream about butterflies, that means like you're dreaming about wanting love, or that there's like hidden meaning behind a dream. So manifest content and latent content. Manifest meaning like the sequence of events, and latent meaning like what did you get from it? What did you mean to dream about? So why do we dream is a really good question, and not something that we can definitely answer. So there's a couple reasons or thoughts on why we dream. The first one is to satisfy our own wishes, to kind of have this this place where we can do these things. There's like a fantasy land. But another one that I like, so that's, to me, sounds a little, I don't know, unscientific. But to file away memories, there's been a lot of studies done with people that dream and like the memories that are made, like reconstructing memories and putting them back. To develop and preserve neural pathways. It's kind of interesting because we've talked about our neurons already. If I have a pathway having to do with sensation of, I don't know, something that happened early in life, that if I dream about it more, you're preserving that pathway so that it becomes a stronger memory. To make sense of neural static. This is interesting. So there's a lot of interesting things happening during your brain during sleep with the waves, right? Sometimes people have thought that maybe it's just your brain's way of trying to figure out what those waves are, and bringing different places in to explain them. So vision, audition, sensation. People have all those different senses while they're dreaming. So some people think that it's just the brain like trying to figure out that static that's going on, or the impulses. And then other people think that it's to reflect on cognitive development. So in life, how you're developing cognitively as far as thinking wise, giving your brain some time to do that. And then some people think it's just your REM rebound. So you're coming out of that rapid eye movement, and it's your brain's way of like coming out of it, and the things that you see when you're coming out of your eyes moving rapidly. All right. Here's a lifetime of sleep. So this is looking at the average days you sleep during your life, during infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adult. And then look at the different things. So your waking hours are definitely increase as you get older. But your REM sleep, right, that rapid eye movement, you have a lot of it when you're an infant, and then a little bit into childhood. It kind of stabilizes through childhood into adult. So childhood is starting at 1. And then your non-REM sleep also decreases, all right? So remember we talked about where dreams occur. So you can think about if you're rebounding from REM sleep more often when you're younger, you might have more dreams than perhaps when you get older. So here now we're going to look at perspective charts on why we dream. So we're looking at dream theories. So psychoanalytical with Freud, information processing, more of like a cognitive, physiological, which is biology, and then activation, synthesis, and cognitive. All right, so here's how these people or these theories would explain dreams. So first of all, Freud, remember Freud was freaky. He said that dreams provide a psychic safety, like that this was your place to express things that you could not during your day. You take things the manifest that you remember, and you put it into those deeper meanings in your latent context. Remember, so manifest is like what you remember, your latent is your hidden meaning. So Freud thought that dreams are kind of this wish fulfillment, like your mind's fantasy time to kind of be the person that you usually are not. Information processing says that we dream to help us sort out our day's events and to consolidate our memories, so making stronger memories. Physiologically, we say that our brain structures are rebounding from REM sleep, and that might help us develop and preserve neural pathways. So looking at different pathways in our brains and making them stronger and develop them. Activation synthesis, this is the one that is talking about that REM sleep triggers activity with those random visual, auditory memories, and our brain tends to weave those into a story. So remember, that's just trying to make sense of the activity going on in our brain. And then the cognitive development, that's where the dream content reflects the dreamer's cognitive development, their understanding and knowledge. So your dreams would obviously change as you got older and more cognitively aware. So critical considerations, that's interesting, does not address the neuroscience of dreams. So what is actually happening in our brains when we dream? Why are those things constructed that way? Why are we able to remember some dreams and not others? All right, so looking at hypnosis. So hypnosis, I want you guys to, we will talk about that kind of, a known view of hypnosis, and then talk about what it actually means as far as terms of psychology. I'll give you guys some times in class to talk about hypnosis as well. But hypnotic induction is really just asking someone to go to a state where they're not at. All right, so it's as an altered state, meaning that oh gosh, how can I say this? So hypnosis is not like, so people that get up on the stage and like do all these funny things, but really there's been some psychological influence that for the person, the hypnotic therapist is telling you to do something, and you're really suggesting to the person that they should do something, and you're looking at whether or not that person will actually do it. So the hypnotherapist could be suggesting to whoever is the patient is that I want you to imagine you're someplace calm. I want you to imagine that you're someplace where you're healthy, or imagine that you're happy. So you're suggesting an altered state. Does it really mean that that person goes to the altered state? No, but what the person is doing is suggesting that they're going someplace elsewhere than where they are. All right, so it's the person suggesting, the hypnotic therapist is suggesting that a person go outside of where they actually are. Now we've seen this like at maybe the state fair, where a person like, I want to imagine that you're a chicken. Now hypnotic therapy is not used like that. It's actually used to heal and to help people like kind of imagine this place where they're not. And we'll talk about the power of your brain, or we already have a little bit with the placebo effect. Okay, so here's some facts and falsehoods from your book. So can anyone experience hypnosis? There's actually studies have shown that the people are different susceptibility to hypnosis, but that most everyone is susceptible in a small way. So the biggest example is something called postural sway. So postural sway here, then this is something really interesting, maybe we'll try it in class, is where someone stands and they close their eyes and the hypnotic person just says, you are swaying, you are swaying, you are swaying, you are swaying, you are swaying back and forth. And people will actually start to sway back and forth, even though they know that they're not, or even if they're very conscious that they are under or trying to be put under hypnosis. So that's postural sway. But there are some people that have been shown to be more susceptible to that and some that are less. Can hypnosis enhance recall of forgotten events? Something called age regression, that we often tend to believe or hear that everything that happens to us is stored in our brain somewhere, that we just can't find it. So that our brain records everything like a video camera. And if we can go back to this place of age regression, so go back to when you're 2 or 5 or 10 and work through this, that you're able to do that. 60 years of studies have shown that we are not able to do that. Our brain does not store memories like that. And we'll talk about that when we look at retrieval. So what is happening when these people are hypnotized is really that they're just going to an altered state or made up memory. But this idea of age regression is not true, that we can't go back to being 2 because our brain stored everything from when we were 2 years old. All right. Can hypnosis force people to act against their will? So we've seen during dangerous studies, or like that people under hypnosis will put their hand into burning hot acid and do these things that are very dangerous for them, or throw acid at someone else under hypnosis. And so some researchers wanted to look at that, like why did they do that? So what was interesting though is that they did the perfect scientific method, and they put someone in a control group, and then they had our non-control group, the people that were hypnotized, and then the control group was told, pretend that you're hypnotized. And the people in the control group were just as likely to do those dangerous things pretending that they are hypnotized, right? So that whole like just pretending that you're hypnotized can actually make you have those actions. Now, hypnotherapists, I'm going to turn the lights back on. Hypnotherapists are people that use hypnosis for a type of therapy. So again, asking that person to be someplace that they're not, or to imagine themselves. And post-hypnotic suggestion has been shown to be pretty powerful, meaning that as you leave, or what I want you to do is like imagine this happening. So hypnotherapists have been used to like treat things like depression or anxiety, like because they can actually ask them to be someplace and imagine like that spiders are crawling all over you, and work themselves through those anxious times or depressed times so that they have this post-hypnotic or after hypnosis suggestion of what they should do next time. And there has been some studies that show that that's powerful, but I really think that's just showing that how powerful the mind is to, if you believe something, that it can be true. Can hypnosis alleviate pain? So the same type of thoughts have been shown to people that are in chronic pain or always feeling like they are in pain. Can they bring themselves to an altered state and actually think that they're not in pain? Remember when we talked about pain, that pain is that really interesting biopsychosocial pathways, that there are many things that influence pain, and that your mind is one of the biggest things, that you're able to kind of go out of being in pain and make yourself believe that you're not. The hypnotic state as a social phenomenon. So here's some interesting, like the social influence theory of being hypnotized. So people who are in front of the state fair pretending that they're hypnotized. So attention is diverted from a painful ice bath. How? Right? So how do I get an ice bath and not feel pain? The social influence theory says that the subject is so caught up in the hypnotized role that they ignore the cold. So they're asking them to ignore the cold, and that they're so caught up in that hypnotic state, or even pretending to be hypnotized, that they're actually able to distract from the pain. And that's called the divided consciousness theory, that hypnosis actually causes splitness in awareness, that you're able to kind of stay in one place and ignore the other. And this person called, or a researcher called Hergold, called this dissociation, being able to take two things and disassociate it. So in this case, the person was able to disassociate pain from their consciousness because they're in a hypnotized state. All right, so that's a kind of a unified account of hypnosis, is where they have this divided state, and it's averted from pain, so the people aren't feeling it. So let's look at the levels of analysis for hypnosis. So again, look at our biology influences. We have distinct brain activity, and we also have unconscious processing going on in our brains. The psychological influence says that I can focus my attention on one thing and kind of put out the other things. And expectations have a huge role in this. So if I'm expecting something to hurt or expecting something to feel pleasurable, that has a huge influence on what it actually does. And that the suggestibility has an influence on hypnosis. So suggesting that you might be able to, or this works, or how well you think it will work. And then the social cultural influence is the presence of a person in a legitimate context. All right, so someone who is in a lab coat, who says they're a hypnotherapist and has been and kind of is reputable, you might be more influenced by this person than you would someone on the street that says they're a hypnotic therapist. And someone role-playing a good subject, meaning that you've watched someone be hypnotized before you at the state fair, you're more likely to be hypnotized the next time. So that all kind of plays a role in on whether or not you can be hypnotized. Your biology, psychological, and social cultural influence hypnosis. On our next notes, we'll talk about drugs and how they alter consciousness. So we talked about how psychologically you can alter consciousness with hypnosis, how our wake-sleep cycles, and now we're going to look at ways to unnaturally alter consciousness.